Have you ever taken a moment to reflect on the changes in your life as you get older? Have you noticed that things that once seemed so important, like keeping up with the latest trends or maintaining a busy social calendar, no longer hold the same value? It's almost as if, with age, we begin to shift our priorities. Suddenly, we find ourselves seeking solitude instead of company, avoiding unnecessary drama, and cherishing moments of quiet peace over everything else. For someone like Jennifer, now in her early 70s, these realizations have become all too clear. She remembers a time when her days were filled with social engagements, the pressure of keeping up appearances, and constantly striving to be in the thick of things. But now, Jennifer enjoys the simple pleasures in life, sipping coffee in her cozy kitchen as the sun rises, reading a good book, or going on quiet walks in the park. It's not that she doesn't value her friends or family anymore. Rather, she's learned that there's beauty in the stillness, in the absence of noise. If you're curious about why our perspectives change so dramatically as we age, and how these changes can ultimately bring us greater happiness and fulfillment, then you're in the right place. In this video, we'll explore 4 profound lessons that Jennifer, and many others like her, have learned over the years. These lessons not only offer valuable insights into how we can live with greater peace of mind, but they'll also help you reclaim your time, energy, and sense of self-worth as you enter your golden years. We'll talk about how time becomes an irreplaceable treasure as we grow older, why pruning relationships can bring us closer to those who truly matter, and how embracing solitude can unlock untapped potential for personal growth. We'll also discuss how protecting your energy and cultivating a mindset of gratitude and forgiveness can be powerful tools for living a richer, more fulfilled life. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why these lessons are so critical, but also how you can start applying them to your own life today. Trust me, these insights could change the way you view your later years, empowering you to live a life full of meaning, peace, and joy. Keep watching. The first aspect to consider is time, which is by far our most precious asset. As we journey through life, there is one constant that stands above all else: time. Time is, without question, our most precious asset, the one thing we can never reclaim once it slips away. Have you ever paused, even just for a moment, to reflect on how our relationship with time transforms as we grow older? It's such a profound shift, one that many of us overlook until we begin to feel the weight of it in our bones. A fascinating study by Harvard University explored this very idea, revealing that as we age, our perception of time undergoes a profound change. When we're young, time seems like an endless ocean, stretching out before us with no end in sight. We swim in it freely, unaware of how fast the currents are moving. It feels infinite, almost eternal, and we assume we have all the time in the world. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the river of time begins to narrow. The flow becomes quicker, the horizon seems nearer, and suddenly, we're faced with the undeniable truth. Time is a precious, limited resource. This realization is often unsettling at first, but it's also one of the most important awakenings we can experience. Psychologists have a term for this shift. They call it a change in temporal perspective. It's a fascinating phenomenon that happens naturally as we age. Our brains, in their infinite wisdom, begin to shift their focus more toward the present. The future, once so vast and full of possibilities, no longer feels so boundless. We start to prioritize the here and now, the moments that truly matter, the ones that resonate with us on a deep, soulful level. The frantic chase for things that once seemed important begins to lose its appeal. We start to pull away from relationships and experiences that drain our energy, and instead, we begin to protect our time, that irreplaceable gift, as though it were gold. And let me tell you, once you realize the value of time, it feels as though your heart has been set free. I can no longer tolerate shallow conversations that leave me feeling emptier than when I started. I've learned to walk away from relationships that serve no real purpose, those that take more from me than they give. I no longer rush to fill my calendar with meaningless activities just to pass the hours. Instead, I found joy in the simplest of moments. The quiet peace of a morning with sunlight gently spilling through the window, the soft melody of birdsong in the cool air, or the sheer joy of getting lost in a book that speaks to my soul in ways nothing else can. Time is no longer just a relentless ticking clock or the turning of pages on a calendar. It becomes something much more intimate, a mirror reflecting our deepest truths. Each moment now asks me, what do you want to do with this time? Who do you want to share it with? Does this moment bring you peace, or does it steal your energy? As the years unfold, these questions don't seem so difficult to answer. It's as though we finally wake up and realize that we can't do everything, and we certainly can't be everywhere. Time, with its limited nature, has taught me that we must choose wisely because every second is a gift we can never get back. At first, this might seem like a restriction, a limitation. But in truth, it is one of the greatest freedoms we can ever experience. The freedom to say no to the things that do not nurture us, that do not bring us joy or fulfillment. The freedom to say yes to the moments, the people, and the experiences that truly feed our souls and make our hearts feel alive. As we age, we learn the powerful art of letting go, of shedding unnecessary burdens and embracing the beauty of a life well lived, a life filled with meaningful moments that are ours and ours alone. And in that freedom, we find peace, contentment, and a sense of deep gratitude for the time we have left. The second phenomenon I want to talk to you about is what's called social pruning. This process, let me be clear, doesn't happen overnight, nor is it driven by malice or selfishness. It's more akin to the delicate work of a gardener who prunes dead branches from a tree, not to harm the tree but to nourish it. It's a natural, organic process that unfolds gradually as we age and evolve, and it's something that, although at times painful, is ultimately a profound act of self-care. As we grow older, we find ourselves doing the same with our relationships. We begin to prune away the deadwood, those relationships that no longer serve us, that don't nourish our souls, and focus on the ones that truly help us grow, that allow us to be our most authentic selves. I want to be clear about something. This isn't about being cold or callous. It's not about abandoning people carelessly. It's about making conscious decisions. Decisions made out of love for ourselves. It's about choosing well-being, peace, and authenticity over the frantic pace of superficial connections. When we're younger, there's often this underlying pressure, an almost insatiable need to accumulate as many friends and social contacts as possible. We feel this obligation to attend every party, be involved in every event, and please everyone around us. For a while, it feels like we're fulfilling some deep need, to be seen, to be known, to be accepted. But as the years go by, we start to realize that all this frantic socializing doesn't bring the same joy or satisfaction that it once did. It becomes exhausting rather than enriching. And this shift, this deep, sometimes unsettling shift, is backed by research. Studies show that, as we age, we naturally become more discerning about the relationships we invest our time and energy into. We come to understand that happiness and fulfillment aren't derived from having a crowded calendar or a long list of acquaintances. True joy comes from the deep, meaningful connections we build with a few people who truly understand and accept us for who we are. This revelation is not just liberating, it's almost transcendent. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. There's a theory called socio-emotional selectivity theory that explains this change beautifully. It posits that as we recognize the finite nature of our time, we start to prioritize relationships that bring genuine fulfillment, love, and mutual respect. We begin to see clearly that it's not about how many people we know, but the quality and depth of the relationships we foster. And let me tell you, this is the most freeing thing I've experienced in my life. As I've gotten older, I've come to cherish the intimacy of a small, close-knit circle of people who truly see me, vulnerabilities and all. The people who accept me as I am, without judgment, without expectation, are the ones who matter. I've come to realize that one authentic conversation, one shared smile, and one deep belly laugh with a close friend is far more fulfilling than being surrounded by a crowd of people who leave me feeling more alone. This shift isn't about pushing the world away or becoming isolated. No, it's about clarity. It's the clarity that comes from living through enough experiences, through the disappointments, the losses, the wisdom, that we learn to see what truly nourishes us and what simply drains us. We begin to understand that relationships aren't about the quantity of people in our lives, but the quality of those we choose to spend our time with. And this clarity, this change, isn't just emotional, it's physical. Studies like one from Harvard Medical School reveal that toxic relationships, or those that lack depth and meaning, can have a detrimental effect on our health. They increase stress, and yes, they can even shorten our lifespan. On the flip side, meaningful, fulfilling relationships can improve our physical and mental well-being, boosting our health and adding years to our lives. As I reflect on where I am now, I feel lighter and freer than ever. The burden of chasing after relationships that drain me has lifted. I no longer feel the need to please everyone, to be all things to all people. I've learned the power of saying no to the wrong people. It's not rejection, it's an act of self-love. Saying no is saying yes to my peace, to my health, to my happiness. And I've realized this is the kind of freedom that only comes with time, with age, with wisdom. The third important topic you should know is loneliness, which often represents a refuge, not a condemnation. Loneliness is a concept that many of us fear, an emotion we often view as something negative, something we should run from at all costs. For much of my life, I felt this way about loneliness, avoiding it at every turn, desperate to fill the emptiness with noise, distractions, or people. It felt like a void, a harsh reminder of being disconnected from the world, like a personal failure that meant something was wrong with me. There was always a sense of dread whenever I found myself alone, as if I were being punished for some invisible flaw. I looked at loneliness as a condition, something that would swallow me whole if I allowed it. But as I've grown older, particularly now at 70, I've come to understand loneliness in a completely different light. It's no longer something I fear, it's something I embrace. It's not a punishment, it's a refuge, a sanctuary. Looking back, I realize that for decades, I viewed loneliness through a lens of shame, as something to avoid and escape. I would fill my days with interactions and distractions, desperately clinging to the idea that I couldn't be happy unless I was surrounded by people and I had constant external validation. I feared the stillness, thinking it would expose some inner emptiness, an uncomfortable silence that would force me to confront my solitude. The idea of being alone made me feel vulnerable, even unworthy at times. But with time, and with a bit of wisdom that only age can bring, I now see loneliness for what it truly is, a gift. It is a space where I can finally reconnect with myself, a time when I can shed the masks I've worn for years and be unapologetically myself. Loneliness has become a place of refuge, a space where I don't have to worry about meeting anyone else's expectations or fulfilling someone else's needs. I don't have to act a certain way to please others, nor do I have to maintain the roles I've taken on over the years. In this solitude, I find a sense of wholeness that I hadn't known before, a peace that cannot be replicated by the noise and chaos of the outside world. It's like I've been given a treasure chest, full of quiet moments and reflections that allow me to rediscover who I truly am, stripped of all pretense. As I have come to realize, loneliness isn't about emptiness, it's about completeness. It's the stillness that allows me to hear the whispers of my soul, the voice that often gets drowned out by the constant distractions of life. In the silence, I can listen deeply to my thoughts, my desires, my regrets, and my dreams. It's a pause in life, a moment to breathe deeply, to reflect on where I've been and where I want to go. In these moments of solitude, I feel the deepest connection with myself. I am not lost or abandoned, as I once thought. Instead, I feel whole, as though I have found a part of me that had been hidden for too long. The more I allow myself to spend time alone, the more I come to appreciate this quiet time. It's not the absence of others that makes it meaningful. It's the presence of my thoughts, the chance to reconnect with a person I've always been but never had the time to fully understand. When I walk alone, I feel a deep connection to the world around me, to the earth beneath my feet and the sky above me. It's as though every step brings me closer to a part of myself I've neglected. When I read a book slowly, savoring every word, it's like each sentence breathes new life into me. Even just sitting in silence, watching the world go by from my window, gives me a peace I didn't know I was capable of feeling. I've come to appreciate these simple moments, which I once thought were insignificant. This newfound appreciation for solitude has also reshaped the way I view my relationships. I've come to realize that solitude doesn't make me lonely in the way I once feared. Instead, it has allowed me to grow in ways I hadn't imagined. When I choose to be with others now, it's not out of desperation or fear of being alone. It's because I genuinely want to be with them. After all, I cherish the connection we share. My relationships are no longer driven by a need to avoid silence or by a fear of solitude. Instead, they are based on a mutual desire to connect, share, and enjoy each other's company in a deeper, more meaningful way. I no longer take relationships for granted. I savor each moment spent with those I care about, knowing that time is precious and that I can't get it back. Every conversation is more meaningful, every touch more genuine. There's a beautiful lesson I wish I'd learned earlier in life. Loneliness is not a weakness. It is, in fact, a strength. It takes an incredible amount of courage to sit with your thoughts, face your feelings without distractions, and accept yourself for who you truly are. It's in that quiet solitude that we find clarity, understanding, and self-compassion. Loneliness is not something to run from, but rather something to embrace as a necessary part of the human experience. It's a space that allows us to heal, to grow, and to become more deeply connected to ourselves. And research supports this. Studies published in the Journal of Aging Studies confirm that older individuals who intentionally spend time alone, whether through meditation, nature walks, or simply enjoying a quiet moment, tend to experience greater well-being than those who are constantly surrounded by others, fearing the silence. Solitude, when chosen and nurtured, is not isolation. It is self-care. It is an act of love toward oneself. When I choose to be alone, I choose to nurture my soul, reflect on my journey, and honor the wisdom I've gathered along the way. It's a sacred time for me to simply be, free from the demands and expectations of others. Over the years, I've come to understand that true well-being isn't found in the noise of the world. It's found in the stillness, in the ability to sit quietly with oneself, to embrace one's own company. Loneliness, when embraced, becomes a refuge, a place where we can reconnect with the deepest parts of ourselves. It's in these moments of solitude that we discover a well of peace and contentment that is often drowned out by the hustle and bustle of daily life. In this space, we can hear our true voice, we can find clarity, and we can heal from the wounds we may not even realize we carry. As I've learned to embrace my own company, I've discovered that the richest, most expansive part of me exists in silence, and that is where I find true peace. The fourth aspect we can't forget is our energy. As I've gracefully aged, one of the most profound lessons I've learned is that our energy is not, as I once naively believed, an inexhaustible resource. In my younger days, I was like a battery that could power through endless days of work, social obligations, emotional demands, and personal challenges without feeling drained. I took on everything, whether it was juggling multiple tasks, managing complex relationships, or helping others in times of need, without ever thinking twice. But as time has passed, I've realized that my energy has become a finite resource, one that needs to be carefully managed and protected. It's a truth I never understood when I was younger, but now, with every passing year, it becomes clearer. Our energy is precious, and we must use it wisely. There's something so deeply transformative about the way life shifts as we grow older. I've become far more attuned to how my energy feels and where it goes. In the past, I would push myself to attend every gathering, engage in every conversation, and try to please everyone around me. But now, I've come to appreciate the deep, quiet power of choosing where to focus my energy. I've noticed that spending time with certain people, People who don't uplift me, who are quick to demand, but slow to offer anything in return, leaves me feeling utterly drained. It's a feeling that can't be ignored, like a slow leak in a tire that deflates the very life force inside you. Those conversations where you leave feeling exhausted instead of inspired, they stay with you, don't they? They linger, like a cloud hanging over your thoughts. I used to question why some relationships felt like they drained me, while others filled me up with a sense of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. And it wasn't just that some people were simply more demanding than others. It was about the energy exchange. Some relationships are like vibrant, warm fires that brighten our lives, offering comfort, strength, and peace. And then, there are the relationships that are akin to bottomless pits, absorbing everything we have to give without ever offering warmth or light in return. I have learned that not all relationships are worth nurturing. Some people, no matter how much we care for them, will never bring us the energy and positivity we need. Now, at this stage of life, I guard my energy as though it were the most valuable thing I possess. It's not about being selfish, nor is it about withdrawing from the world. It's about recognizing that energy, like all things in life, is finite, and it must be used with intention. I've learned to say no to the drama, no to people who only take and never give, and no to situations that don't serve me. I've learned that it's okay to step away, to decline invitations, to put up boundaries where necessary. I no longer feel the pressure to be everything to everyone, nor do I feel the need to fix problems that don't belong to me. I've come to understand that this kind of self-awareness isn't a form of rejection, it's a form of self-love. Instead, I've become more discerning in where I direct my energy. I choose to invest it in things that truly enrich me. I savor a good book that challenges my mind or take long, peaceful walks where I can reconnect with the earth and clear my thoughts. I cherish the quiet moments spent with those who love and support me, with people whose presence makes me feel seen, understood, and valued. I no longer seek out the noise of crowded spaces or empty pleasantries. My soul craves the calm, the meaningful, the authentic. And in these quiet, cherished moments, I feel my energy being replenished, restored, and renewed. The importance of energy management isn't just a personal revelation, it's a truth backed by science. Emotional fatigue is real, and the toll it takes on our mental and physical health cannot be underestimated. Research on emotional well-being shows that our brains have a limited capacity to handle stress and complex emotional exchanges. If we keep giving, without taking the time to recharge, we risk burnout. And let me tell you, burnout doesn't just affect your energy, it affects your entire outlook on life. It clouds your ability to enjoy the things that once brought you joy. It dulls your ability to connect with others in a meaningful way. It steals the very essence of who you are. Protecting your energy is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's an act of self-preservation, of self-respect. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. And in this process of energy management, there's also the role of gratitude and forgiveness. At the ripe age of 70, I've learned that true peace doesn't come from accumulating wealth or possessions, or from earning the approval of others. True peace comes from shedding the burdens that weigh us down, specifically, the burdens of anger, resentment, and grudges. For years, I carried these heavy weights around without even realizing it. I replayed past hurts in my mind, wondering why certain people had disappointed me or why things had gone wrong. I let these feelings fester, and in doing so, I unknowingly poured more and more of my energy into them. But eventually, I came to realize that carrying a grudge is like carrying an invisible rock on your shoulders. It's not something you can easily shake off. It slows you down, it burdens your spirit, and it robs you of your peace. But the truth is, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for us. It's an incredible act of self-liberation. When we forgive, we release ourselves from the grip of the past. We make space for something far more valuable: gratitude. Every time I forgive, it feels like I'm lifting a weight off my heart, clearing the path for joy, peace, and serenity to enter my life once more. I no longer carry the weight of past grievances. Instead, I choose to focus on the people who truly love me, the simple pleasures that make life beautiful, and the small, often overlooked moments of grace that bring warmth to my soul. And the science behind gratitude is compelling. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude not only improves our emotional well-being but also has profound effects on our physical health. Cultivating gratitude can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and even improve cardiovascular health. It's not just an emotional practice, it's a healing practice. And so, I make a conscious effort every day to express gratitude for the people in my life, for the gifts I've been given, and for the beauty of each moment. I've learned to cherish the relationships that nourish me, to protect my energy fiercely, and to forgive those who've wronged me. In doing so, I've found a deep peace that I wish I had known earlier in life. The weight of grudges no longer burdens me, and instead, I'm free to live in the fullness of gratitude, joy, and love. At this stage in life, I can truly say that letting go of what weighs me down and holding on to what truly matters has been the greatest lesson I've ever learned. It has brought me a kind of freedom and inner peace that I never imagined possible. And that, my friends, is the freedom that only age can teach. A freedom that comes from knowing when to give and when to hold back, when to embrace the world, and when to embrace the peace of solitude. It is this freedom that has brought me the greatest sense of fulfillment. And as I continue my journey through life, I know now that this is my most valuable treasure. As we come to the end of today's reflection, I hope these thoughts have resonated with you in some way. I've shared with you the importance of protecting our energy, the profound power of forgiveness, and how gratitude can shape the way we live, especially as we grow older. It's been a journey of learning and self-discovery for me, and I truly believe these are lessons that, when practiced, can transform not only our lives but our overall well-being. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from today's video? What is one thing that stood out to you, and how do you plan on incorporating it into your life moving forward? Please take a moment to share in the comments below. I always love reading your thoughts and experiences. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment, give it a like, and don't forget to share it with others who might find it helpful. And of course, subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay healthy, stay mindful, and take care of your precious energy.